Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Yes, I know I did one yesterday, but you can't have too much of a good thing. And if that saying is correct, then you probably should go and see maybe Old Tom at Rambler 69 or Greg Riley. Greg Riley's 1 in 35 scale models. Or Cal, the brush and quill. Justin, miniature painter, the miniature painter. Anthony, Grand Priego channel. Joe, Mad Genius Productions. Chris, CD Scale Modelling. Charlie Mack, Jeff's Model Garage. I'm trying to quickly miniature model Paul. Now I'm digging myself into it now because people are going to get left out. What I'm trying to say is, I enjoy making these videos, and when I've always said to you, when I've got something to say, show, whatever, you get to see it and hear it. Right, today's video, as the title, will be a lot shorter than this intro. I was asked a while ago by a good member of the channel, Mezz from Mezzers Minis, to do a commission for him. Now, I'll put this out there now, and I'll make sure it's put in the description. I'm being paid by Mezz, hence the word commission, to paint some figures for his, take to shows, put on the website, whatever he wants to do with them, game them. I have no idea. This isn't a paid promotion for Mezzers Minis. I will mention it lots of times because he's a good fella, and as I keep saying, just like with Pete over at Atlantic Models yesterday with the PE, if I can put somebody's name out there that I think is worthy of it, does good service and that, I will do so. I have bought figures off Mezz, and I will probably be paying just after I get paid. I've got an idea for a diorama for next year. Somebody actually asked me in a comment only a few days back, do I do dioramas? And as obviously I do them in 1 in 35 scale, but not in the 28mm wall game scale. As you know, I got an idea to do a Perry's American Civil War little vignette diorama, whatever. But I've got a plan to do a larger scale diorama, and that could be expensive. So we'll see how we go, and it'll be probably 30. Oh, what am I saying? It's going to be like it's going to be 30-year war diorama, and it's going to be. It's given me the ideas went in my head. I'd seen a 50, I believe it's a 54mm diorama on one of the websites that I follow for figures, and that was a Spanish tertio type unit. In the Low Countries in the 30 Years' War, because those figures were 54mm and a lot of them were scratch built on no figures. I don't mind maybe trying to move an arm or something like that, but that's as far as it goes. So I may well use these type of figures so I'm looking over there because the 4 that I've painted are over there before I put them on this table for you to have a look at. But I've got an idea of doing there's a painting from the Battle of Rocroi, and it's a Spanish tertio at bay, more or less. They're being well hammered, and there's people dying, there's dead horses, or all that type of stuff. I know that's pretty brutal, but it's a very good painting, and I base some of the colours that I've used so far on these guys on that painting. Not verbatim, just ideas really of how the artist has used colours, because you've also got to remember and that's what I say to you when you're sometimes doing figure painting, sometimes not necessarily follow the colour wheel, but you use colours a lot of the times that I suppose complement each other. Anyway, going all around the Wrekin again, British saying, especially in the Midlands here, Wrekin, very large hill in Shropshire, which you can almost see from here. I'm in the county of the West Midlands, by the way, different county, but it's a big hill. Right, anyway, so you go around the Wrekin, you get it? It's a big hill, and it means I'm blathering too much, rambling too much. But keep that one. You could use that in conversation. I'm going round the reeking. Right. Anyway. Yeah. So I'm being paid by Mezz for these, and I just wanted to say that I don't class it as a paid promotion. This is the job that I do. I paint figures for people. It just so happens I'm painting for Mezz. But as he's commercial, I'm letting you know that. Right. We'll go down to the bench. Bad day today. We'll go down to the bench. We'll have a look at these 4 figures. By the way, I'm running these alongside the Napoleonic commission. I don't normally do 2 commissions at the same time because it's not fair on anybody. But the French commission is a long commission, and my head gets burnt out fairly quick, so it's easier. And I'm not doing too bad actually on that one, which you'll be seeing. I'm actually flocking the first unit this afternoon, so you'll see that probably, if not the weekend, you'll probably see it early part of next week. But I agreed with Mezz. If he was happy, I would do. I keep looking over there. Consultants are over there. I just chuck in I've decided I'd do 4 at a time. Just stick them in the background and paint them. Sometimes I do half an hour on them every day. Sometimes I don't touch them for a couple of days. It just depends. But yeah, let's go down to the bench. We're looking at 28mm 30-year war figures. They are resin with steel, with metal pikes. The metal pikes were provided by Mezz. They are stuck down on 2p pieces, which is Mezz's preferred way of doing it. I've just painted them black, the bases, because he's going to be having the joy of basing them himself. So I think that covers everything. And the figures, of course, the figures are Avonpost, which is a Russian company, I believe, and sold in the UK through Mezzers Minis. Let's get down to the bench. Thanks for joining me at the bench. I know what you're thinking, Gav, these don't look painted to me. And they're not. I just thought I'd show 4 figures that I'm going to be cleaning up after I've done the flocking on the Napoleonics. So again, these are all resin. I think I've got about 20 to paint for Mezz, I believe. They really are nice figures. You can see the details there, which you usually come up well with resin. They usually get some good castings. You might occasionally get the odd bit of fertling that you have to do with the arms to put them in that, like that's got a bit of flash there or whatever, but on the whole I've not had a problem with the figures. I sometimes occasionally do a very slight bit of, if you've got an arm, you might do a bit of filling, just some plastic, as I showed you before. Let's just show you again, as it's on my desk, plastic putty. To be fair though, with these guys, and I'm desperately trying to find a bit of a grubby pointing stick. At this era, a lot of the times where the arms are sewn in, you've often got a gap anywhere. Well, not a gap, but you know what I mean. There's a depression in the fabric, and a lot of the times as well, the guys were wearing like leather jerkins that go over the top. So just be a bit aware of that. But I've always loved the boot details, funny enough, on these. I've no idea why, but yeah, very nice. And don't forget as well, you don't always have to put the socks on these guys. So these guys were on campaign a lot. Most of the guys lived hand to mouth, and as I said before, they'd often, if they were wearing a pair of trousers, it was probably taken off the corpse of somebody else half the time, or a jacket or a hat, and the same with the socks. So just to give a bit of difference to your units, think maybe sometimes of just putting them like with just bare skin. So these are, I should have said, from what I can gather, these are musketeers. The guys I'm showing you in a minute are all pikemen. We've got our rests there, and they're all on these little casting plugs, which are very easy to remove. Got a bit of feather detail, I believe. Sorry, it's the light colour. Yeah, that looks like feathers to me. So Very, very nice figures. The only thing I always have against them is they do have these large casting plugs, whether they are metal or resin. The resin ones are a lot easier to use, to remove. I haven't got one here, but if you get one of these, you can buy like scale modelling little razor saws. They look like the old-fashioned razor blades, but obviously they're toothed, and they literally are about £1 or something like that, and they're very thin. Next time, if I remind myself, I'll in fact actually I'll go and get one in a minute when we show you the next figure. But yeah, that's the only drawback I ever have on those. On the metal ones, they can sometimes be as chunky, and that's a lot harder to remove. Right guys, I've just fished my little razor saw that I use. This is, I'm not sure if I got it from the scale model shop or Model Hobbies or something like that. This is obviously the actual supplier. You can get a wooden handle for it for about 15 quid, but myself and most of the guys that I've seen use them literally just, use them like that. They are flexible. You can get different scales and thicknesses and whatever, but they really are, compared to a lot of things, quite cheap. £1, something like that, something around that region. But you can see, that they'll get you in. I've got bigger razor saws I use for the busts and things, but they're really too chunky, whereas I prefer these. I use these on, I've got a couple, and I use them either on figures like this or on my scale modelling when I need to. But yeah, that's what I would recommend to you guys to use on your your resin type figures. So this is an officer. Again, really nice face. A bit of casting, obviously plug things there to just remove. But again, the boots and everything are just fantastic. I really like these. It's weird, I never had an interest whatsoever in the 30 Years' War, English Civil War, anything like that. But it's grown on me a lot in the last couple of years. I think it's because you can do so much with the different uniforms and that, because obviously it wasn't a uniform period. I obviously like the 1680s and early 1700s as well. This guy, he is suffering from a bendy sword. To be fair, that's the first. I bought some resin figures off Mezz, and these figures, obviously these other figures that I've got from, that's the first one that I've actually got a bend. It's not that's the one problem with resin, it's not uncommon to get that on any manufacturer's figures, and including the 54, well, I've shown you before on 54mm figures. I'm hoping with a bit of heat that I can straighten that. I'll have a word with Mezz, because what I'll often do is, if they won't bend, rather than just in walking around with a bendy sword, which always looks a bit ridiculous, I'll replace that with a piece of plasticard, bit of plastic sheet type of thing. It's not hard. Just use that as a template before you take it off, and mark round it, and then just cut it out and sand it to the right thickness. It might well move with the thing, and then that'll be up to Mezz, because obviously these are quite often people that are selling these figures, or soldier manufacturers. Obviously they like to the public to see them as they are, rather than any alterations to them. But we'll see. But yeah, very, very nice figure anyway. I like the face. There's be a lot we can do with that. We'll brighten that figure up compared to the ones you'll see soon. Right guys, we're on to our next figure. Again, another musketeer. The apostles are all for his powder. Really well cast again. Little bag for the shot. We've got some more powder in his little flask there. I always like the poses when they've got the I don't know why, when the hat's brims are pulled back. I think they look quite good, quite casual. And these are the the weapons. Again, there is some feathers. One's just broke off the casting plug, which is more feathers for the hat. And again, you don't have to put feathers in the hat if you don't want to. Bit of flash on them, but nothing. I mean, is that literally like the see-through stuff? There's a bit, again, see-through on the legs there, but again, that's nothing. That's not a problem. We've got casting plugs there because you'll cut that off. Have the foot in mid-air. Really nice. Now this is a beautiful figure again. That's fantastic. Hole there is for, I'm not going to get it out, which is for the sword. It seems to be nice and straight. And they always, when they fit into these, there's always a, you know, they fit really nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that one a lot. Again, I keep getting this guy out. This is one I've painted for myself. I've tried to brighten him up slightly. Yeah, the lights, you know, taking the colours in different ways. But I've said I wanted to give these a Spanish feel, and these are the. And I know these aren't mine, but these are the enemy. These are the Dutch. But I like to give them the officers a slightly more brighter look, you know, just to show that they're officers. I know they didn't all have exactly different dyes and fabrics from the men they commanded, but they did sometimes. So yeah, right, I'll put that away. Right, guys, finally at the painted figures. Yeah, just be careful; he'll have your eye out. These are lethal. Forgot. I haven't done any 28mm pike or spear or anything for ages, and yeah, I was leaning forward to get something, and good job I got my readers on, or I'd have been probably blind in one eye. This guy I have given a blackened armour to, and tried to show it worn, scratched, bit of rusty. Although it's been blackened, you know, there's a bit of rust and just grime built up on it. I've given these guys, he's got like a light grey, there's been a bit of violet being put in there. But I wanted to give him a, let me move this back slightly. Here we go, fella, get back there. There we go. I wanted to give him a slightly, all of them, the foot soldiers, a bit more of a not so bright look to them, if that makes sense. So again, resin figure, metal pike. I've dirtied the pikes up in places where the hands would, where the butt of the pike goes into the ground often, whereas it's been pushed out. A bit of reds and greens going on with this fella. I've tried to slightly, I wanted to brighten the armour up on these guys a bit, and that's what I've gone for. I did knock this off. This one's, as you've seen on some of them, they're pre-moulded, on some they're not, so you just have to take a bit of care with those. And you don't have to put the plumes on at all, you know, that it's up to you what you do with them. Oh, there's me back in. Hang on a second. There's two more to go. Got a leather jerkin, buff jerkin on here. Again, the lights are bleaching out the helmet colours a bit. Again, I've stained up the pike shaft a bit. And our last gentleman, who's completely armoured. Now, that is a piece of the actual blade there. That is a piece of plasticard. Now, I have a feeling I cut the original resin because this comes in a piece to the, obviously, to the hilt of the sword and that, and it then marries up to a small indent in the scabbard. And I've got a feeling I cleaned that off, industrial little cleaner that I am, and I reckon I cleaned that off because I suddenly found myself with with a gap. So I put a piece of plastic card in there, which you can't tell the difference, but just for, you know, all I'm saying is I don't think it was missing. I do somehow believe I cut it off, but just keep, you know, if you buy this particular one, just keep an eye on that. And if you do have that, it's 2 seconds work to cut a piece of thin plastic card. If you haven't got a plastic card sheet, there's lots of other stuff you can make. You could cut a piece of yogurt pot out, you know, a piece of pop can. It doesn't have to be plastic, you know, anything. It doesn't look out of place. I've tried to go for really bright on that, which isn't really showing up on the, put in a bit of reflections as well. So that's our 4 guys for the moment. As I say, I'll get on cleaning up the next 4 and have them put aside. I think we've got at least 1 mounted figure to do, which I may include in the painting paint along with, well, the beginner painter series, but you know, they've more or less turning into paint along with Gav really. But we'll throw that into the mix, but not towards the end, because I want to paint a couple of different figures before because otherwise we'll be constantly sticking in the 1600s. So guys, thank you very much. I'm rambling as usual, but I did want to show you the figures as I go, what I'm painting, because I haven't shown these before. The next ones up might have been ones that I've actually had before, so I might not have to show you the other ones, but we'll see as we go down the pile. So yeah, keep an eye out for these. It takes a while for these to show up because, as I say, I really am doing them on you know, on the side along with all the other side things, but they're getting done. So look after yourselves. Thanks for stopping by on another video. As I say, sometimes you get a flood of them, and I understand people can't keep up with them, and other times, you know, I might go AWOL for 5, 6, 7 days only because I've got nothing to show you guys. So look after yourselves, and we'll speak very soon on another video.